Hi everyone, welcome to episode 99. Yes, you heard me right, episode 99 of the Unleash Antwerp podcast. So grateful to God, so excited, so happy that God has brought us this far. Next week is episode 100. I definitely cannot wait. I'm so excited. But let's do this week first. I will get to episode 100 next week. So this week, I'm talking about a topic that is really, really dear to my heart. It's a topic, I think, because for the longest time, I didn't really think it was something important. It's self-care. And this week, I'm looking at the topic 10 self-care tips every woman needs. I'm sure someone is saying, why would you say every woman needs this topic? Because I have lived not taking care of myself, and I have learned the hard way, and I really would like to encourage other women to take care of themselves. So key, you heard me right. So this week, let's dive into it. Let's look at simple things. These are things that we can do every day. These are like simple things that often we take for granted, but it's so important. Can you guess what they might be? I'm sure you're guessing. Let's, as you go along with me, you'll find out if your guess was right. So, like I mentioned a couple of years ago, I've often shared my story. One of my stories that I share often is the story of where I had some suicide attempts, and I found out, it, the reason why that really might have been able to happen was because I really wasn't taking care of myself. I was not, taking our time. I was more preoccupied with taking care of other people. And after that journey, after that time frame, it has led me into this place of learning to pause, learning to evaluate, learning to take care of me, learning to take care of me. So, and I want to encourage women, you might think taking care of you is selfish, but I have learned, I say this often, if I don't take care of me, I might not be here for the long run to take care of others. So either you're a wife, you're a mom, you're a sister, you're a daughter, you whatever you are, whatever shoes you are, you're a career woman, you're a stay-at-home mom, you're a business woman, I don't know, you fill in the gap for me. You're a ministry woman, whatever you are, you're just a young girl starting life. It is so essential to take care of you. So essential. I can't even overemphasize this. And why? I have found out that when you take care of you, like I said earlier, you are healthier to take care of others. You are here for the long run. You're able to do much more. You're more productive. The benefits are enormous. Anyway, before I go on, let's get right into it. So number one self-care I want to share today is prioritize your relationship with God. And somebody might say, that's not really a self-care tip. Actually is. You find for a lot of women, spending time with God sometimes can become a winging thing whereby we say, oh, I'm so busy, I don't have the time, I can't pause right now, I just have to keep going, I'm just going to do it on the go. It's okay to do it on the go sometimes, but if we would prioritize our time with God, if we will learn to schedule time with God. And that's why I said prioritize. It means it must become a priority to you and I. I found out that prioritizing your time with God helps you to even prioritize your time with you. It looks like it doesn't make sense, but what I found out from the little time I've been on this earth, from the little I know, is that when you schedule time to be with God, when you schedule time to sit with God, to sit with His Word, to sit and pray, to sit and listen to Him, to sit and talk with Him, it's a time whereby as you begin to hear from God, as you begin to learn, guess what you're doing? You begin to love God in a deeper way. And as you begin to love God in a deeper way, God begins to show you to you. This is something that I've experienced, and I can't even say it, like it changed my life. I found as you begin to spend time with God, God begins to reveal you to you. And so, whereby you might say, oh, I don't know what I'm really made of. I don't really know what my strengths are. I don't know what my weaknesses are. Start by spending time with God. Begin to prioritize the time with God. And when I say time with God, I'm not just saying time with God signifies here time for prayer, but also time, and prayer is a two-way thing. So time for prayer means I'm praying, I'm talking to God, but I'm also listening to God. I'm also letting God speak to me. I'm also letting God minister to me. I'm also letting God, minister to my heart. God is giving back to me. It's such a life-changing thing. I can't even explain. It can only really be experienced. But if you're saying, I haven't found time, there's so much going on in my life, I want to just encourage you to put God on your to-do list, put him on your priority list. Like, how would I put it? Put your prayer time, your time with God on your schedule, and you will be amazed what would happen. Let it become a priority, because like I said, as you begin to spend time with God, you would find that you begin to know you more. This was an experience for me. I found at one point in time, as I began to just sit with God, fellowship with God, it was at the time whereby God was teaching me, about writing. He was rekindling my love for writing. And it was a time whereby I had decided to write this devotional. It was my very first manuscript. And I found the more time I sat with God, just listening to him leading me what to do, I began to get to know me better. Sometimes we say, well, I don't know what my strengths are. I don't know what my weaknesses are. I don't really know what I'm made up of. I don't really know my makeup. I have found spending time with God is one of the ways that he can reveal who you are to you. It's so powerful. You sit there with him and then he just begins to reveal some things to you. I remember for me, it was like, reminding me of what I used to do as a child, and then begin to reveal my purpose to me, and then begin to reveal what I was called to do part-time. And it just began to grow from there. And then, sometimes you go in to pray and then he just begins to drop some things on your heart and you begin to write it down. And so I found that prioritizing that time with God is so key, because if you don't spend time with the one that knows you more than anyone else, you might not really know who you are. And that's why I put it as number one. Learn to spend time with God. Create time. We often say, we're so busy, I don't have time. People, we can create time to spend time with our maker. As you spend time with the one who knows you, who loves you, the one who loves you begins to just have this intimate relationship with you, and you begin to get to know the one who he created in a way that you might never have known before. I can go on and on about this number one, but number one actually leads to number two. Number two is love yourself. Love yourself. And this actually is an offshoot of number one, because like I said, as you begin to spend time with God, somebody might be saying, yeah, but I don't really know how to spend time with God. Spending time with God simply starts with, I create a time slot whereby I want to sit with God and I just want to talk to him and I just want to pray. I could just be pouring out my heart. I remember there's a verse I love so much in the Bible. It talks about, or it's a passage of scripture that talks about Hannah, whereby Hannah was so heavy in heart, she could not even really express herself. But the Bible said that she was communicating with God, but her lips were not moving. She was communicating. So sometimes spending time with God, you're sitting there, you're musing, you're talking to him, but all people might think you're not really doing anything, but you're communicating with God. So it's just that time whereby it creates is just me and God time. I call it daddy and me time. Is what I call it conversations with daddy, where you just sit with him and your dad just pours into you, and it's just such a beautiful relationship when we prioritize our time with God. So, and I find it starts from that time of sitting there with him, and then it begins to lead into bigger things. So I find that number one is that prioritizing your relationship with God. You spend time with him. Number two is that loving you. You'll find as you begin to spend time with God, he helps you to love you. He teaches you how to love you. Let me give you an example. growing up, I used to hate, I used to think, I didn't, not that I hated it. I used to think I talked too much. I've shared this often. I used to think I talked too much. I used to think talking wasn't really something that was important. And I just felt like, why do I talk so much? I didn't see it as something important. But I remember as I began to spend time with God, that was one of the days that I think I was watching Joyce Meyer. And God said to me, you used to say you talk too much. Can you see this lady? She has turned what you call talking, which now is called speaking. She has turned it into a tool to impact her world. She has turned it into a tool to evangelize her world. She has turned it into a tool to be a blessing to her world. And that day, I began to see myself differently. I began to see what, the tools that God had given me to impact my world. And I find that stems out of the part of, whoever God has created me to be, I'm going to begin to love that person. In these days of social media, a lot of times people tend to compare themselves. We tend to compare ourselves with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like everybody around the globe. But of course, there's only one of me. There's only one of you. There's only one unique you. There's only one unique me. And we need each one of us. And until we begin to love ourselves, until you love who God has created you to be, you cannot really bring the fullness of all you have within you to your world. It is so key. Self-care goes beyond even the physical. Self-care goes even into the spiritual. Until you and I begin to think, what, it doesn't matter. Whoever God created me to be, I love me. I'm going to love me. I'm going to love who God made me to be. I'm going to love who he, like for example, with me, I love to talk. I love to write. It helps you to begin to love the things that you love to do. It helps you to begin to value who you are. It helps you to be able to carry yourself with a confidence that only you feel like, what? It doesn't matter what anybody says. I know who God created me to be. I am confident in who created me to be, and I'm going to love me for who God created me to be. And that leads me to number 3, which is embrace you. So you have, you've got a relationship where we are spending time with God. You have learned to love who you are. You must also embrace who you are. And I believe number 2 and number 3 are kind of intertwined. Embracing who you are means you fall in love with everything about you. So you love you means you start that relationship with you. You just begin to value you. It doesn't matter what anybody else says, but you begin to learn more about you. I believe it leads you on a journey of discovery. It's almost on that journey of self-awareness, where we begin to become aware of who we are. And therefore, I always say it's not enough for you to become aware of who you are. It's even more important for you to begin to enjoy who you are, to begin to embrace who you are. They are like things that you must begin to love you must embrace you must enjoy who you are. You must begin to value who you are, because it's the value that you see of yourself that you can bring to your world. So really, self-care starts from the place. And I found out at the time when I had gone to all those times of sadness, it was because I didn't really value who I was. I didn't really see who God had created me to be. I didn't really see myself as someone that brought so much to the table. And so it's so important, because I also see for women, because women do so much. We go out of the comfort zone. We want to please our husbands. We want to please our children. We want to please people. We want to, not that we want to just please, we want to help. We want to be a blessing to other people. But I always say, are you being a blessing to yourself? So self-care means I'm going to be a blessing to myself. So I'm going to prioritize my relationship with God so I can get to know myself more. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to embrace who God says I am, which means whatever God has said about me, that's what I'm going to believe about me. It doesn't matter what that ex-boyfriend said that 10 years down the lane. It doesn't matter. What matters is what my creator says about me. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to live it out. I'm going to enjoy who God says I am. Oh, I can't even, that just knowing those really just took me to a new level of seeing who I am. It takes you on that journey of self-awareness. But beyond self-awareness, it takes you on that journey of living out the promises of God for your life, of just believing that whoever God says you and I are, that is who we are. Then you embrace, so I'm talking about something like number 4, I would say, is schedule time. So really not going to self-care, schedule time for you. Schedule time to give yourself a treat. If I ask you that question now, how many of us can remember when we gave ourselves the last time we gave ourselves a treat, or if we ever gave ourselves a treat. Some people have never given themselves a treat. And when I say give yourself a treat, I'm talking like things like take yourself for ice cream, take yourself to the spa, take yourself out for dinner. Sometimes we don't even have to wait for people to do this for us. Sometimes we just want to, pamper yourself. Learn to pamper yourself. I was saying to my husband the other day, I think about 2 weeks ago, I was saying to him, oh, I really want to go and do my nails. Oh, we're in summer now, and I really just feel like going to pamper myself. I want to just, go and do my nails, just have a beautiful pedicure, just relax. And I found that sometimes pampering yourself doesn't even have to cost much. It's just you saving up for whatever it is you want to pamper yourself with. Sometimes it's even just taking yourself for a little thing such as ice cream. Sometimes it's just taking yourself for a walk away from everybody else. Sometimes it's just taking yourself to a quiet place and just sitting there by yourself. So that's actually an assignment I want to give every woman watching this. When was the last time you pampered yourself? So please, self-care is starting. Let's take time to pamper ourselves. Sometimes we don't need to wait for people to pamper us. Pamper yourself. So key. This year is like a milestone mark for me, and I'm already thinking of things that I'm going to do to pamper myself. It is not selfishness. It's not selfishness to take care of you. It is just you appreciating who you are. It is you appreciating who God has made it to be. And it is you just appreciating the value that you carry within you. I think it is so key for our self-esteem. Sometimes look at yourself and say, girl, you have done well. God has been good to you. And now you're going to take yourself out. Let's go to the mall. Sometimes, I did that I think it was last week. Normally I would, either take my daughter out, take my sons out, go out with my husband. This time I had left where I was. I was meant to go home. I said, no, I feel like going to the store and pampering myself. I had been wanting to buy some earrings for a while, and I just took my time. I went to the mall by myself, which I don't normally do, but by myself. It was such a relaxing time, just walking through the stores. I was looking for, necklaces and some particular necklaces and some earrings, and I ended up buying some beautiful earrings. I bought 3 earrings, and I was so excited, like somebody gave me candy. But why am I sharing that? Guess what it is? It's just me pampering me. Every woman has a little girl in her, and sometimes we need to allow that little girl to come out. We need to just do things that we can use to pamper ourselves. One of the things that I use to pamper myself is jumping on the trampoline, just enjoying myself and having fun. It is so key. Let me go to number 5. So I'm giving you a challenge. What are you going to do today? What are you going to do this week to pamper yourself? What are you going to do this month to pamper yourself? What are you going to schedule for next month to pamper you? What treats are you going to schedule to do for yourself? And number 5 leads on from there. It's schedule time to declutter your mind. And why am I talking about this? I've spoken about a little bit about this before, but I found that as human beings, we often would pile stuff on top of stuff in our minds. Our minds have the capacity to get more stuff piled on and more stuff piled on because there's just so much going on. So this incident happens today, you store it in your mind. Another incident happens tomorrow, you store it in your mind. And before you know it, after a while, you have so much stuff stored in your mind. And I believe from time to time, we need to, and that's why we also need to schedule time to, to just take time away. And when I say take time away, I often emphasize that you might not be able to take time away physically, but you can take time away mentally. You can just take time away, just thinking, okay, for the next 3-4 hours, I just want to sit here in silence and I just want to declutter my mind. And I found some of the things that happen when you declutter your mind is sometimes you want to just think back, this period of time, are there things I need to let go of my mind? Sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but sometimes I feel like my mind is full and I just want to declutter my mind. What are some of the things I need to let go of? What are some people I might need to let go of? Maybe there are people that maybe they've offended you and you might just need to say, Lord, I just forgive this person. I don't want to keep this in my mind. I want my mind to be free. I want to be able to have a productive mind. I just want to let go of this person. So decluttering your mind means that you're taking what's on your mind and you're putting it on paper and just it could just be sitting in a place and just journaling about what's in your mind. So one of the ways that we can do this, actually, like I mentioned, is journaling. And another way that we can do this is by reflection. So sometimes you can do this, maybe some people do this at the end of every day. Some people do this at the scheduled time at the end of every week to just declutter their minds, just have a journal and just write. So people do this at the maybe once a month. They just say, I'm just going to declutter my mind. I just want to take a period of time, maybe an hour. This end of this month, I just want to look at what happened in May, and I just want to declutter, what happened in May. I just want to declutter the things that happened in this month. And, I don't want to carry baggage into next month. There are various ways of doing this, but schedule time to declutter your mind. Trust me, it would help you to take care of you. Take care of you. Number 6 is one that we know so well, but sometimes we don't do. Like we know, it's not what we know that matters, it's what we do that matters. So take time to eat well. Have a good nutrition. Like, eat well. I don't know how to say this again. Women love to cook for others, but sometimes we forget to eat, me inclusive. So please take time to eat well. Eat a healthy diet. Sometimes we often say, I don't eat breakfast. When I found out the meaning of that word breakfast, it means to break a fast. So if you are not on a fast, you and I should be eating when the day starts. In the morning, you should eat. Even if it's just a banana, even if it's just, so it could be a piece of fruit, it could be a smoothie, it could be some cereal, whatever you eat, but just make sure you are breaking the fast. You have been sleeping all night, most likely, and now here you are in the morning, your body is working based on what it has, like it's trying to function based on the what you've given it. And if you have not given it anything to work on, it's only going to be functioning based on the food that maybe you had in your system. So it's trying to get energy from what you have in your system. But guess what? You might even be starving your brain of energy because you have not eaten anything for the day. I'm not a doctor, but at least I know that little about it. So please, let's take time to eat well, eat healthily, because I always say our body is the one vehicle that God has given us. He will not help us maintain it. He won't help us take care of it. So the older you get, the better you should eat, really. So let's research, what can I do to have to eat better? Could I do meal prep? A lot of people do meal preps. So I'm going to prep for my week. I'm going to have a weekly schedule. This is what we're going to eat so that I can prep for the week. I might have to prep on the weekend so that during the week, I don't have to cook as much. Whatever works for you, just plan to eat well. I found if we don't plan to eat well, we definitely will not eat well. Like I often say, what doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. So let's schedule to eat well. And the next one, number 7, is sleep well. That's another big word. Women sleep. We need sleep. I was doing a research a couple of weeks ago. One of the things that I found out about sleep is that it's when we sleep that our body grows. It's when we sleep that our cells develop. So imagine if we don't sleep well. Actually, there was even a study that said that it's when you sleep, I think over 8 hours, your body begins, to rejuvenate itself. And I was like, wow. So what he's saying is that when you and I don't get enough sleep, you find that you wake up cranky, but you don't only wake up cranky. We have not given our bodies the opportunities to rejuvenate itself. We're not giving our cells the opportunity to rejuvenate itself. We're not giving our brains the opportunity to get its needed rest. So sleep is so key. Of course, we would have different levels of sleep based on maybe if you're married, you have children, your work schedule and all of that, but please find time to sleep in between. These things are always all flexible. We can always find a way around. When I used to work nights, I still used to sleep. I would sleep in the daytime, maybe like 5 hours. Then when the children went to bed at night before I went to work, I would often sleep as well. So find a way, make it work, somehow make it work. So everybody say, I don't have naps. If you're able to have a power nap, it's even better because it makes you even more productive. And that takes me to number 8, drink lots of water. You might wonder, what does this have to do with self-care? The more water you drink, the healthier you get. Also, the more water, when you drink water, you're flushing out the toxins in your body. Water has like so many benefits. I can't even go into it. But when we drink water, guess what we're doing? We're replenishing the fluid that our body needs per time. And so we must know how many glasses of water we need to drink per day, and we must be very intentional. I'm like guilty of this, of not drinking enough water, but I'm trying, to just it kind of is something that I'm working on, trying to just, to help myself. Now I now have this ginormous bottle. I'll show it to you. It's so big, really big bottle that helps me, reminds me that I need to drink water. And I take it everywhere I go to remind me that I need to drink so much water. And that takes me to number 9. Number 9 is take care of your body. So please, exercise, I don't believe, is a luxury. Self-care, you take care of yourself by doing what? By taking care of your body. What kind of exercise can you do? Exercise is not just about losing weight. So people think exercise is about you. Exercise is about you moving, the muscles in your body. You're moving, exercise is about you moving your body. Your body needs to move every single day. Moving your muscles, moving your joints, moving every part of your body. So what kind of exercise works for you? For some of us, it's simple exercises. For some of us, it needs to get more rigorous. For some people, they have to go to the gym. For some people, they don't need to go to the gym. They can just simply have walks. Like I love to take walks. For some of us, we can just skip. I always say to people, find what works for you. And something about me, for example, is that I get bored with the same regiment of exercise. Maybe it's just me, but I find out, I remember when I used to go to the gym, I found out after going to the gym, like maybe for the first 2-3 months, I'm fine. But after like 3 months, I'm starting to think, I want to see the outdoors. I don't want to be in here. So I miss walking. So then I'm like, okay, I have to go back to walking. But even walking, sometimes I'm thinking, I feel like I want to go on the treadmill. Sometimes I feel like I want to do some skipping. So I find it's so nice that you can mix exercise. You can find things that work for you. I mentioned I love to jump on the trampoline. Whatever works for you, find a way around it. Let it work. Practice it. It would help you. But create a regimen of exercising your body. It's one of the ways that you can take care of yourself physically. One of the ways you can take care of yourself physically. I can't even overemphasize this. I have some bonus ones for you as well. So the next one I want to share is learn to say no when you need to. This is one of the ways that we take care of ourselves. Learn to say no when you need to. Learn to say no when you need to. So let me emphasize it. We often say, I've heard this over and over again, no is a complete sentence. It's okay to say no. And why am I sharing this? I find a lot of women tend to take on a lot of things on themselves, myself inclusive. We will take on activities that we know that we don't have time to schedule for it. Like we will take on roles that we're not sure we're going to be able to fulfill. And then we're like, what did I just do? You've already taken on the role. So please, it's okay to say no. And that's one of the ways that you take care of yourself. If you take on what is too much for you, what you can't handle, then sometimes what happens is that you find out that you burn out, you get overcommitted, you are stressed. There is so much that comes out of taking on what is too much for you. So whenever you find yourself in that position, always ask yourself, is this going to be beneficial to me? Am I being prioritized in this role that I'm committing to? Like, am I going to be able to commit to am I going to be able to fully commit to this? Do I have the capacity to fully commit to it? Do I have the capacity? Am I able to fully commit to it before I say yes? Because if not, if you say that, and I want us to see this, there is a thin line between not wanting to do things for people and saying not wanting to do things for people and overextending yourself. So some people just don't want to do anything for anybody. They don't want to be valuable. They don't want to serve. They don't want to help. But then there's also the time whereby you know that you already have so much on your plate. You don't need to add any to it. You don't need to add anything else. So at this point, you need to know when to say, you know what, I have so much on my plate. Maybe next time I might say yes. But for this time, I'm sorry, I have to say no. And that person will completely understand that you have to say no. So learning to say no. And I think the last one I'll give you, which is a bonus, is learn to grow yourself. So you take care of yourself also by growing. So how do I take care of myself? It means that always find ways to add value to yourself. So mentally, always be adding value to yourself. Spiritually, always be adding value to yourself. Financially, always add value to yourself. Always ask yourself, how can I grow myself? Always don't, part time, you and I must continually be stretching ourselves. You and I must continually be growing ourselves, because if we don't keep growing, we are going to start dying. We must. And so one of the ways that you take care of yourself is by growing yourself. So always look around you and say, who can I learn from? Who can I learn from? Who is someone that can teach me what I need to know? How can I grow in my spiritual life? How can I grow emotionally? How can I grow financially? Who can I learn from? Who can I also add to? So as you are growing, look for people that you can also add value to as well. So always be adding value to yourself, and then add value to other people as well. I have more, but I'm going to stop here. And I hope these few tips have been, they've really been a blessing to you. So I want you to do something for me. First of all, I want you to, if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do, because number one, is an encouragement to me. Number two, I want as many people to benefit, to get value from the podcast as I share them, and the YouTube videos as I share them. Number two is, do you know someone that can benefit from this? Please share this with someone so that they can share it with someone as well, and that person can share it with someone as well. So share it with a friend, share it with a friend or two. Don't keep it to yourself. Let it be not just a blessing to you, but let it be a blessing to somebody else as well. Next week, I have a treat for you. I have some phenomenal guest I'm going to be bringing on episode 100. Watch out. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. I'll see you next week. Bye.